Hello, Mallards. It is Wednesday, and you know what that means. That means that I watched episode 2 of Moon Knight, and I have my thoughts. I just thought that continuing to do my entire reviews of Moon Knight this way, where I just tell you the thoughts I had as I watched the show, is the way to go. So let's dive in. Moon Knight, episode 2. My first note is that I love recaps because they tell me what the show thinks is important. For example, Layla, a big deal. The fish that I was very concerned about, clearly not important. And I think that is okay. I like recaps for that reason. It is fun to see what they focus on. They also didn't do anything about Steven's mom, who, like, I'm still 90% sure isn't real, but Layla mentioned his mom later, so, like, maybe I will get some satisfaction there. I then put, now that I think about it, maybe Mark hasn't called Layla because he's so busy putting all of Steven's various room pieces back in order. Like, he does go through a lot of effort every time he comes back and, like, turns the body back over to Steven to just, like, make it look like Steven was sleeping. And so, I admire your dedication, sir. But also, did Steven literally just think all of yesterday was a dream? Because, like, does he remember going to bed? It clearly wasn't a dream. And, like, when he gets to the museum, he realizes instantly that it wasn't a dream. But, like, I think you should have figured that out beforehand. But, of course, naturally, poor guy, there's nothing on the footage. Because what's the number one rule about hellhounds? And these jackals are clearly just hellhounds, except Egyptian. No one can see them except the person they're coming after. So it was summoned to come after you, which means you can see it and no one else can. Interesting, though, that nothing got knocked over in the footage, because we did see the hellhound knock some stuff over when we watched, and I feel like that still happens. Like, hellhounds still cause destruction even when people can't see them, and the jackal that gets summoned later in the episode does cause destruction. So I feel like somebody should have seen that. Oh, also that answers my Mark question. He can choose to just look like Oscar Isaac, which, like, I'd also choose to do. So the suit is something that he can summon. Then Steven gets fired, and my note says, listen, the HR guy wanting that name tag back is some petty BS, because it doesn't say the company, it doesn't say where he works at all. It's literally just Steven. Who else is going to use that? Like, are you already hiring another Steven? You put the call out, like, work requirements must also go by the name Steven with a V. My next note is that I love that statue man. Sean Scott, who's the actor who plays him, is listed as Crowley, who apparently is an informant of Moon Knight's. Like I said, I know very little about Moon Knight. But I think he deserves major kudos for his performance. I think that character is really fun. It has got to be an absolutely wild role to do. And also, it is the #1 set of scenes that I would like outtakes from. Because if I was Oscar Isaac, I would say the most absurd things just trying to get Sean Scott to break, and, like, I imagine it's happened. And also, even the regular dialogue that's written for him is absurd. My next note is, seriously, when they did location scouting for this show, did they just say, we want creepy hallways? Because this storage unit, also very creepy. And a related note, what kind of lights make a big sound like that when you turn them on? And why are they only turning on behind the characters as they walk down the hall? Like, I own a storage unit. The lights turn on in front of you. That's the point, is so that they can light your way. So, like, these lights should not be only turning on behind you when they pass. The one in front of you should be turning on, which doesn't look as cool cinematography-wise, but, like, it's just worth a mention. Also, I really wish my storage unit was that nice and had power. Like, power inside the storage unit and those shining walls and that space. I realize Mark Spector's a merc and, like, can clearly afford a better storage unit than I can, but, like, I was high-key jealous of that whole, except for the lighting. That sounded really annoying. But, like, the actual storage unit, it was so nice. And also, the one thing that I did know going in was that Mark Spector is a merc. So I was just waiting for the discovery of the cache of mini weapons. Not as many weapons as I was expecting. It was literally just like a single gun and then the passport and then the scarab. And he was like, oh, the scarab's real. It's all real. Surprise. We knew that, but we're glad you're caught up, Stephen. But I expected more weapons. Like I expected, I don't know. Sometimes people like align Mark Spector and Deadpool, and so like I expected a Deadpool level of weaponry, and I did not get that, and that's okay. You know, not everybody has to be decked out to the gills. It's telling a very different story. Also, when he's having that conversation with Mark in the storage unit and he says, I don't care how bloody handsome you are, I really just need to know if that line was scripted or improvised, because it's such a fantastic thing for you to say to the mirror. Like, and also for Oscar Isaac to say to himself, like, you are bloody handsome. We all know it. We acknowledge it. I really thought that that was hilarious. And also the whole next sequence is really good. Once again, making use of the creepy hallway. I'm telling you, they were like, we just need creepy hallways. Get as many of them as you can find for us. But I think that Khonshu looks so cool and that whole sequence was really, really fun. And then we get a Layla. Yay! Also, excuse me, a wife? Like, wife. She said those words. And if she doesn't know about Stephen, does it mean that Stephen is new? Or is Stephen really old but hasn't been around for a while? Like, did he live his younger life when he was like with his mom as Stephen? And then he became Mark at some point and he married Layla, and that's why she's like, oh, you're speaking to your mom again, because like she doesn't know. And then he reverted back into being Stephen most of the time when he like ran away from Layla to try and protect her. And so like if he was somebody totally different, then she wouldn't be able to find him because like nothing would line up, and maybe that's what happened there. I have theories. I have no concrete proof of any of them, but I do have some theories. I also wonder too, though, if Stephen is just completely new, because when Layla's at the apartment, like a lot of things that he really likes are things that are like part of Layla's personality. And so maybe Mark split into Stephen and himself, but the thing with Khonshu implies that Stephen existed before, because like part of their deal was that Stephen wouldn't interfere. So I have a lot of questions, but my current running theory is that Stephen was around in the beginning and then Mark was dominant for a while, and now Stephen is back. But that conversation that they had was confusing for everyone involved, and that everyone includes me, but I don't mind a confusing conversation. I love a mystery that I can solve and theories that I can build on and interesting things to figure out. Also, I love that flat. Like, the amount of bookshelves, it's beautiful. No one, seriously, who let you have such an amazing apartment? It's not fair. Then the cops show up and they're super sus. Like, immediately super. Just, Stephen, you trust everything except for Mark, who I feel like is the one person you should trust. He's literally in your head. But you trust everybody else. So anyway, the sus cops show up and then they're like, yep, we're taking you in because you stole something. Like, how would they even know that? He just doesn't think about the fact that like regular cops wouldn't know that. But you know who would know that? Cult cops, and that's who they are. So they tell him some stuff about how Mark was bad, none of which I believe, but some of which Stephen believes. And then they take him to meet Ethan Hawke, aka, I think his name is Arthur, aka the leader of the cult. And like, it's definitely a cult. Like, it's maybe a nice cult, but it's still a cult. And we went from that idyllic village that was, I believe, somewhere else to like this inner city place that he also runs. Like, where is this man all the time? How does he have the ability to run around and do all of this different stuff at all these different places? I do not know. But then we learn that Mark Spector is a legacy and that Arthur used to be the avatar for Khonshu. And apparently when they broke it off, he got salty about it and just wanted that power again. And so now he's working with Amit and they're working against Khonshu. You know, he was like, you broke my heart, and so I'm gonna go find somebody who's even better at doing justice and vengeance. In fact, she's so good at justice and vengeance that she doesn't wait for people to commit an act before she kills them for it. She just does it when she knows that they're gonna do bad things. Isn't she so much cooler? Aren't you jealous that you aren't with me anymore? That's the vibe I get. Also, that's my interpretation of how Ethan Hawke plays the character. He looks just like that. You don't see Moon Knight, you'll never know. Imagine that. But my next notes are just about this conversation, which are things like when someone uses the phrase eradicating choice, they're not a person you want to be around. Also, when somehow them just speaking makes everybody else in the room get up and start creeping towards you in a scary manner, not a person you want to be around. And when they say things like, the difference between medicine and poison is sometimes only a dosage, that is also a red flag. It is also a really cool line that I like and might steal from my normal life. And when I say it, it will also be a red flag. I have red flags too. And then when he lifts up his cane and all of those creepy people who were encroaching on you, acting all menacing, start to back away, that is another red flag. Thank goodness that Layla showed up, because Steven was screwed. Layla, on the other hand, is a BAMF, like a super absolute BAMF. She takes all of this in stride. She eventually figures out the Steven of it all and embraces that and just like goes for it. I love her. She's awesome. My next note just says, the suit. So I know nothing about Moon Knight, so I've seen all the promo images of his suit being like a nice like 3-piece white suit, and I did not realize that that's just not something Moon Knight wears, and that it was gonna be a joke where Steven summoned the suit because he got that capability, but when he summoned it, it was like a dapper nice suit instead of the classic like mummy wrap thing that Spectre has. Hilarious. Peak comedy right there. I really, really enjoyed that. I also really liked the spectators on the street watching him fight this invisible jackal and being like, I think he's just a fancy drunk. And that was really funny. When he defeated the jackal, he let Mark take over and he defeated the jackal, and the image of the jackal speared on this tower with the moon in the background, and it was so pretty. Gosh, what an absolute just painting quality, gorgeous shot. A lot of this show is really pretty, but that in particular was absolutely stunning. My next note says, excuse me, Arthur, I didn't see you weigh that guy at all. You just killed him, which is true. I see you doing your little weigh thing. Like, that guy maybe was good and you just offed him because he'd seen something he shouldn't have. And by seen something, I mean, he literally picked up a scarab a few seconds ago and then he gave it to you. Like I said, guys, red flags. Watch out for those. Don't fall for the cult leaders. Oh, and then we got a Steven and Mark heart-to-heart, which I really wanted, and it was sweet. And it really did make Mark Spector seem like he's really caring. And this is why I think that like Steven maybe was the original personality and like Mark cares for him a lot, and that Mark's personality was like born out of some trauma that Steven needed protecting from, and he just like has that protective instinct. And then the conversation with Khonshu about like, he's not gonna be a problem, I'm gonna handle it because I'm gonna protect him, and him like trying to talk Steven through not being in control and his panic attacks and stuff, I really liked. It's really sweet. Just Oscar Isaac showing us all what self-love should really be like. And then Khonshu says the line, you are worth protecting. And somehow, whereas you are worth protecting coming from Mark to Steven would have felt sweet and caring, this felt possessive. Like, you're my favorite toy, and so I will take care of you. And then they go to Egypt, which seems to not agree with Mark or Steven, judging from that short scene we get, but you know who it does agree with? Me, because I'm loving the show so far and I am absolutely ready for the next episode. I'm hungry for more. I'm not gonna read any Moon Knight before the show finishes because I don't want to color my interpretation or my enjoyment of it, but if you have Moon Knight Rex because you've read Moon Knight before and you're like, I feel like these are quintessential Moon Knight reads, let me know. Leave them in a comment because when I finish the show, would absolutely love to read that and get more into this character because I am enjoying it. Also, if there's more with Layla, I assume she's also in the comics and she's really cool in her own right, so I'd be into that. So yeah, those were my thoughts for episode 2 of Moon Knight. Check back in next week for more wild rambling and more of Ethan Hawke being the jealous ex. I'll see you tomorrow.